The ARKK Genomic Revolution ETF has stored up its excessive progress DNA within the early days of buying and selling in 2021, as traders look to wager on thrilling new medicines and medical expertise amid the coronavirus pandemic. The ARKK Genomic Revolution ETF opened the year at $94.20 on the 4th of January and continued to climb 16% over the next days, earlier than hitting a brand new 52-week excessive of $109.28 on the 8th of January. The fund is now price greater than thrice the $33.57 it reached on the shut of the 8th of January 2020. Regardless of hitting a low of $24.49 on the 16th of March final year, the ARKK ETF ended the year up 180.3%. As of the 11th of January, the ARKK Genomic Revolution ETF had a year-to-date complete everyday return, in response to Yahoo Finance, of 13.3% and complete web property of $7.67 billion. Compared, its underperforming friends, the World X Genomics and Biotechnology ETF and Franklin Genomic Developments ETF, had the property of $114 million and $8 million. Floor-breaking genomics. The ARKK, launched on 30 October 2014, is actively managed and invests a minimum of 80% of its property in firms centered on extending and enhancing the standard of life by means of technological, scientific growth, and developments in genomics. It has holdings throughout a number of sectors, together with healthcare, info expertise, supplies, and power. All the firms concerned develop, produce or allow CRISPR, focused therapeutics, bioinformatics, molecular diagnostics, stem cells, and agricultural biology. The ARKK Fund sometimes has between 30 and 50 holdings. As of the 11th of January, its prime weighting is biotechnology firm Pacific Biosciences of California at 7.7%, adopted by telemedicine group Teladoc Wellbeing at 6.4%, artificial biology firm Twist Bioscience at 5.7%, gene-modifying agency CRISPR Therapeutics at 5.6%, biopharmaceutical firm Fate Therapeutics at 3.8% and precision drugs options firm CAREDX at 3.7%. Pacific Biosciences had rocketed 404.6% final year, helped by its DNA sequencing machines contributing to COVID-19 analysis. The inventory was up an extra 41.4% for the reason that flip of the year to 8 January. Teladoc Well-Being's share worth had additionally grown by 138.8% in 2020, as individuals more and more booked online medical appointments as a substitute for visiting docs' practices in the course of the pandemic. The inventory was up 13.9% within the first 5 buying and selling days of 2021. Shares in Twist Bioscience jumped a large 572.8% final year, boosted by its half within the battle in opposition to COVID-19. In the meantime, CRISPR Therapeutics' share worth climbed 151.4% in the identical interval, helped by rising pleasure around potential sickle cell illness and most cancers therapies. 572.8%. Twist Biosciences share prints rise 2020. The ARKK Genomic Revolution ETF benefited from having such a big deal with the healthcare sector, which flourished as governments and firms appeared to revolutionary science to assist curb the pandemic. Innovation takes off. However, it isn't simply COVID-19 that's accelerating the fund's progress. The worldwide genomic sector, lengthy hailed as the way forward for drugs, will rise in worth from $16.4 billion in 2018 to $41.2 billion by 2025, in response to Zion market analysis. Analysts are actually bullish. In keeping with Market Screener, a consensus of analysts have an outperform score on Pacific Biosciences, Teladoc Wellbeing, Twist, and CRISPR. Innovation takes off throughout robust occasions, Catherine Wood, ARKK founder, and portfolio supervisor instructed Yahoo Finance. That's when shoppers and companies are prepared to consider doing issues in a different way. Innovation takes off throughout robust occasions, Catherine Wood, ARKK founder. Tom Lydon, president of World Development Investments, doesn't consider the fund wants extra catalysts. However, within the quickly evolving genomics areas, they carry on coming. Wanting forward, CRISPR-based improvements will speed up given the expertise's ease of use, cost efficacy, and rising physique of analysis surrounding security. CRISPR can deal with a few of the most distinguished healthcare issues, opening up a major funding alternative, he wrote in ETF Traits. Michael Dolan, nonetheless, cautioned that the hype surrounding ARK's ETFs, together with the AKRG, has led to some irrational pricing. Lots of the firms within the fund generate little to no income. For these creating therapies, many should not have any permitted therapies available on the market. Their share costs are successful recently largely due to ARK's effect on them. On the flip aspect, most of the holdings are mature firms producing loads of income similar to Regeneron and Roche. I'm a fan of a lot of their holdings. But you will have higher alternatives shopping for ARKG within the coming months, he wrote in Search of Alpha. Regardless of income technology issues, the genomic revolution is anticipated to maintain thriving. In spite of everything, a world battered by a pandemic wants all of the improvements it will probably get. Disclaimer: previous efficiency just isn't a dependable indicator of future outcomes. CMC Markets is an execution-only service supplier. The fabric, whether or not it states any opinions, is for common info functions solely and doesn't consider your private circumstances or aims. Nothing on this materials is or ought to be thought about to be monetary, funding, or different recommendation on which reliance ought to be positioned. No opinion given within the materials constitutes advice by CMC Markets or the writer that any specific funding, safety, transaction, or funding technique is appropriate for any particular person. The fabric has not been ready in accordance with authorized necessities designed to advertise the independence of funding analysis. Though we're not particularly prevented from dealing earlier than offering this material, we don't search to reap the benefits of the fabric previous to its dissemination. CMC Markets doesn't endorse or provide opinions on the buying and selling methods utilized by the writer. Their buying and selling methods don't assure any return, and CMC Markets shall not be held answerable for any loss that you could be incurred, both straight or not directly, arising from any funding based mostly on any info contained herein.